Good morning and welcome to Arthur Brown Photography. We're now well into 2025. I'm actually recording this towards the end of January. Those of you who've been watching my channel for a while know that my main camera is the one I'm using to record this on at the moment, which is the Sony FX3, which I've had for probably two and a half years now. Very happy with it. It doesn't really appear to have been updated by anything else yet, and the firmware upgrades that we've had so far with things like the shutter angle have made it even more of a professional instrument. The thing I'm looking forward to next is the firmware upgrade that's going to give me Blackmagic RAW, which I can record directly to my Blackmagic monitor. I've noticed, watching YouTube over Christmas, there's been quite a lot of debate about whether the FX3 is better or worse than the A7 IV, because they're reasonably similar in specifications. I actually have both because I bought the A7 IV on Black Friday the year before because I got a very good deal on it. I was trying to buy an A7 III actually, but I got a very good deal on an A7 IV, and I've really used this fairly exclusively for my still photography work, and using the FX3 and my DJI Osmo Pocket 3 for video work. The reason I decided to buy the A7 IV as well as the FX3 was I think the lack of viewfinder on the FX3 I think made taking still photographs a little bit more difficult, and the lack of viewfinder on the FX3 is I find still a problem, but I'll perhaps come to that in a few minutes. But because there's been quite a lot of debate about the comparisons between the FX3 and the A7 IV online recently, I decided, well, perhaps I'll give my A7 IV a try for video, and I must admit I'm very impressed. The only real problem is the sensor crop when you record 4K in 60 frames a second. Now, recording at 60 frames is not something I do that often. I tend to use 24 frames, and if 120 if I want to slow stuff down. So, excuse me. However, if I'm shooting at 24 or 30 frames a second, the A7 IV is pretty good. I'll just dig it out here. So what I've done actually is to try to make it a little bit more video friendly. So what I did was I bought a small rig half cage, and then I already had a spare small rig side handle because I'd bought a pair of these, but I really only used one of them. And then I've put a little NATO rail on the top here so that I can use that for top handle or monitor or anything like that. And I must admit, having the eye viewfinder is particularly good in brightly lit conditions, and that brings me back to the FX3 again. One problem I had straight away when I first got the FX3 was taking it out from its first video shoot. It was quite a bright day. I think it was probably at a car show that I went to, and I found it very difficult to see the screen on the rear. It was in bright sunlight, so it was quite hard to frame up and quite hard to see whether you were in focus or not. And I got around this eventually by buying a 5-inch monitor to go on the top, but again it wasn't that bright and caused trouble in bright sunlight. So I suppose now I've got the Blackmagic monitor, which is 7-inch, but that is I can't remember how many nits. I think it's 2,500 or something ridiculous. But that is bright enough actually to be able to properly monitor the picture or monitor your video in fairly strong sunlight anyway, which is good, And it has the added advantage that I can record direct to an SSD, which I've just got one mounted on a rail on the top of the monitor. I think I probably might have shown this in a previous video. But when it comes to video quality, between the FX3 and the A7 IV, there's not much in it really for everyday kind of video work. The sensor crop is a problem, but we get around that. And if I have to shoot at 60, I just use a different focal length to try and make it, because it's about a 1.5 crop, so it's fairly like using an APS-C camera, which I've done on and off for years anyway. I'd say probably where the FX3 is the winner is in low light situations, particularly if you're using the higher end of the dual ISO. But where the A7 IV wins is when you definitely need to be using a viewfinder to your eye. So with me it swings and roundabouts. I thought about buying another video camera to have a slot B cam, but actually now I'm not going to bother, because the A7 IV can act as my B cam, and also for a lot of the time because of health problems, which I'll probably talk about in another video. I'm using the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 a lot more because it's so small and portable and light. So anyway, welcome to 2025. We've got to try and sort out some trips out. And try and get some more video work done. I'm not really doing any commercial work at the moment because of my poor health, and I'm retired. I'm still getting silly requests for things like filming funerals or drone photography at weddings. Well, it's impossible to predict what the weather's going to be like on your wedding day. How the hell am I going to do plan to do drone photography? Madness. I've still got to try and get out and fly my drone again, see whether I've actually managed to fix my horizon problem. Anyone who's been watching my channel will know when I took the drone to Whitby back in October, it was flying slightly off centre, so the horizon was always a bit to one side. Ironically though, when I thought I'd recentered it, although we had a house where there was nothing level because it was an old property, it was actually leading the other way then, so now I've got to try and do some more work on that. So I started to ramble again, so I'll finish up now, and I want to start doing, I'll briefly touch on my health problems, but it's down to anyone who's watched me for a while. I know that I'm being treated for leukemia, but I've this year developed a severe rheumatoid arthritis, which is still being investigated at the moment. So my mobility is very poor, and also my hands don't work very well, although I still operate a camera. So I'm going to have to try and start looking for a wheelchair or a mobility scooter or something to get about. I mean, I could walk a mile or so slowly, but if I do, I'm absolutely exhausted for 2 days afterwards. So that would be this year's challenge. Really, is going to be how to get mobile without using my legs too much. Anyway, goodbye for now, and look out for my next video.